What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with the news involved with the markets, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you are guaranteed 7 free stocks. And the offer ends today, so check it out before they run out. This offer ends in about 18 hours from now. This is your last chance to deposit $100 and get those 7 free stocks. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. Looking at SPY, this thing managed to gap up today. It's kind of shuffling right now during the pre-market session. But as you guys can see, we have this tough resistance in the 531s. So we'll have to see how SPY ends up reacting to that zone. We'll be watching to see if we end up forming a peak or not. So I'll break down more details about this in just a minute. Let's go over some data real quick. So for today, it's Tuesday, May 28th. We had Mester giving a speech earlier. For today at 9:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a little bit after the market opens, we have Kashkari giving a speech. Just know that Kashkari is known for being a bigger hawk. If anything, we also have consumer confidence coming out at 10 o'clock a.m. and then the Dallas Manufacturing Index also coming out at 10:30 a.m. So we have basically all that data coming out for the first hour. So look for some volatility for the first 30 minutes to 1 hour of the market open. And then at 11:30 a.m., we have a bunch of bill auctions coming out. We'll be watching to see what happens with all of these alongside more Fed speakers. So that's what's happening for today. Remember the times I just called out. That's when we may see more volatility. For news about the markets, things are doing relatively well as we're getting close to the end of May. The market's holding up well this far. We'll have to see if anything shifts, at least for the time being. Then moving forward, there's been more talk about different stocks out there, at least for retail earnings. We also have Costco's earnings this week and such. There's also a lot of talk coming out about some off-price retailers like TJ Maxx and Ross. There's been a lot of talk about them becoming a lot more trusted at cheaper prices. And there's been some questions about whether or not these are going to last. So far, things are looking decent in terms of earnings. So let's hope they continue to grow at least amidst all the competition. But that's all I'm seeing for headlines, nothing too crazy. This is what their earnings calendar looks like one more time, guys. Not going to talk too much about the Tuesday earnings. Nothing's too crazy. But Wednesday and Thursday are when things become more important, when we have more retail, especially like Costco coming out. So I'll talk more about Wednesday and Thursday earnings. Not so much for today. Everything's very minor. And besides that, there's not really a whole lot else coming out in terms of news. Now let's just focus on the charts before I conclude this video. So for SPY, as you guys can see, it's kind of uptrending right now. Since Friday, it's been on an uptrend, trying to push higher. We have this very, very tough resistance at 531.5. SPY is known for kind of rejecting there and also kind of struggling to break that resistance. And I said yesterday in my video that we're going to likely fill this imbalance and try to push up to at least 531. That's what happened so far. So the question is, will SPY establish a new all-time high? If we break the all-time high at 534, we're bullish. This thing is going to start pushing to the 540s. If we fail to do so, if we come short and end up getting stopped at 531, then look for a potential rejection and move back down to fill this gap at 529 and maybe even a move lower over the next couple of days to start continuing to fall. Do not forget that we have a bearish engulfing candlestick on the daily, which oftentimes and historically has led to the market kind of slowing down a bit later on. It's happened many, many times on the charts. I pulled out many examples during the weekend. So, for example, the last time this happened was like right here. Got this bearish engulfing candle, came up a little bit before we ended up coming back down. So are we about to see a bearish engulfing candle? We come up a little bit more, then eventually make a move down. As we have that gap to fill below, we'll have to wait and see if that ends up being the case. Could take a couple of days, though. So in my opinion, I think that the most likely possibility is, so I went over the bullish and bearish cases. I think that SPY is going to try to push higher, but we're going to see some tough resistance at 531. And we might kind of struggle here for some time before we get a move back down. And we could even drop to the 528 area as soon as today if we fail to break 531. So look for a lot of shuffling. Excuse me, look for a lot of shuffling up here and see if we get a rejection, move back down. I'll be watching to see how we end up reacting to these important levels. Okay, so watch the 531 to 530 area. We might shuffle up here a bit. If we fail to break it, we're going to be looking for a move back down to 528, all the way back down here. For Tesla, real quick, Tesla's holding up relatively well so far. We have resistance at 180 and 182. We have support currently at 176, 175, and then 173. I think that Tesla, in my opinion, is showing some weakness as we had some negative headlines come out. And this also kind of resembles head and shoulders, where this is like a left shoulder here, this is like a head, and this is like a right shoulder. And this would take us all the way down towards like 172 to 1 This 172 area basically. So I could see a little bit of a move to the downside for Tesla is the most likely possibility if we lose 175. And for me to turn bullish, I want to see it break 182. If it breaks 182, we're back to bullish. I fear that's going to kind of shuffle a bit, maybe come down a bit. So watch for that very carefully. We could be looking for a very, very symmetrical looking structure right here, but there is a risk of downside for it. For Nvidia, we're holding up very well. We're at 1100 right now on Nvidia. Crazy move to the upside. Could we go a little bit higher? Yes, we could. Nvidia is still holding up very well. If it breaks past 1100, look for 1120 as our next resistance. And then if we end up losing 1080, we turn back to bearish, and we're going to be looking for a move back up to about 1070. So lose 1080, we're going to be looking for a gap fill back down to 1070. If we break past 1100, look for 1120, 1125, around that range. In my personal opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if Nvidia kind of holds up for some time, holds up, and maybe later on we do come down to fill this gap for the next few days. That's still a possibility. That could slow things down for the indices. I'll be watching for that. The QQQ is on a very, very nice uptrend so far. I'll be watching resistance currently at 460. If we establish a lower high, look for a rejection, move back down to 456, our 20 EMA. If we break 461, we're going to remain bullish and we could be looking for new all-time highs. So as of right now, the QQQ is uptrending. We'd watch and see where the peak is. Do we break the all-time high and continue to pump, or do we come short and then end up getting a rejection? I'll be watching that very, very carefully. For Bitcoin, where we were pumping, but now we're actually dipping a little bit. We have our 50 EMA as resistance. If we lose 68,000, we're going to be looking for a dip back down to 67,000. Right over here, I think that there's a risk of this dipping, so I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. So be very, very patient with that. And on top of all of this, I just want to call out for Amzn. Amazon's on a bit of a downtrend. We have 180 as support. If we lose that, look for 178. If we hold this, we're going to be looking for a bounce to 182. So we'll give this some time. For Meta, I'll be watching to see if Meta ends up losing 475. If we lose that, this 475 zone, we're going to be looking for a move back down to 472. If we break past basically 480, there's going to be a bigger pump coming, but there is a risk of this actually dipping a little bit more, in my personal opinion. So just be careful. I do see a risk of this dipping a bit, and we'll see what the move ends up being, at least from there. With that being said, guys, the market opens in about 10 minutes from now. So I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular day, and we'll see what SPY does. As of right now, we're fighting some tough resistance, so we will see how it goes. So watch how things go, guys. I just want to thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours. But until then, stay strong and get ready for market open. Thank you so much for listening. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. And then don't forget about the Moomoo link. This offer ends today in about 18 hours. So if you deposit $100, you'll get those 7 free stocks. This is your last chance, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, I'll see you guys in about an hour to an hour and a half from now. Until then, just take care. All right. Thank you and peace out.